tonight I wanted to talk about something that kind of came across my desk, and I think that there's some interesting knowledge to be gained in unlikely places. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. My name's Loru, digital advertiser marketer for the past 10 years / content creator, and I came across this, and I wanted to show this to y'all. This is a thread by a Trung fan. We're going to dive into this, and the title of this video is going to be what YouTubers can learn from Netflix, specifically on their thumbnail game, and I thought this would be extremely valuable to content creators and to Twitch streamers alike that are trying to break into the content space. So let's check out what this thread is and kind of what you can glean from this. And as a digital advertiser, I'll be able to like factor cap this kind of thing, right? Because this kind of stuff is what I deal with every day for many of my clients. So let's dive in. The link for this will be in the description in case you want to peruse it yourself, in case you want to follow Trung. Thanks again, Trung. Get some good Twitter content here, my friend. Jeez. A Netflix user will browse the app for 90 seconds and leave if they find nothing. Thumbnail artwork is actually Netflix's most effective lever to influence a viewer's choice. This makes sense. A user will look at one for 1.8 seconds, so Netflix spends huge money to optimize them. Here's a breakdown thread. Okay. Before we go any further, just some immediate value. This Twitter thread is long. It's like 15 something threads. I want to showcase this to you as just a really easy value add for all content creators. This is how you start a Twitter thread. Okay, he's optimized this to be, this is catchy. It caught the attention of those that passed. It has 28,000 likes, right? It's got some really good value here. You can also see how he's optimized some of the keywords here. So Netflix, instead of Netflix, he is the ticker instead of the word Netflix to fit the character limit, spends huge to optimize them, right? So he doesn't say spend huge money, because it doesn't need the word money. You understand, spends, he's spending money to optimize them. Here's a breakdown thread. It takes 2 characters to use an emoji instead of the 5 that thread is. 5? Sure. So really excellent Twitter thread opener, catches attention, provides value immediately, encourages you to keep driving down the thread to check stuff out. So this already is like, hey, if you're trying to up your Twitter game, this is one of the best example I've seen in recent months about that to get it done. Okay, so and it shows off some other like of course he's got Squid Game 3 times in there because that's one of the most popular things there is. Let's go on to the rest of the posts. Spoiler alert, humans are visual animals. Our eyes move 3 to 4 times per second to process information, and we can analyze an image in as little as 13 milliseconds. Jeez Louise. Really? I'm smart, chat. Who knew? In 2014, Netflix consumer research showed that a thumbnail artwork is the biggest influencer to watch content and is the focus of 82% of browsing time. A user looks at one for only about 2 seconds. If they can't find Netflix content in 90 seconds, they leave the app. Ladies and gentlemen, the next piece of value that you can get out of this is that if you're trying to break out into the YouTube space and you're a Twitch streamer, or if you're an established YouTuber and are not really getting enough views, your thumbnails must be on point. There's a reason why when I talk to Team Loru, we have, some of our recent conversations and a lot of our beginning conversations around the YouTube channel was around the thumbnails. You can see that our thumbnails have gotten way better. You know, look at this, like, and we'll talk about literally the things that Trung exemplifies in his thread we are using in our YouTube channel, and to get our views are trending up and up every single day. You can see back in the day, let me go down a bit, our thumbnails. Here's the ones that I was making. They're dark. I can't really tell what's going on, and ignore the shorts, right? They have some text in their short, and now we have these bright, vibrant thumbnails with text and expressive faces. You're going to see more of that in the thread. So already you have some value out of this, content creators, that thumbnails are more important than the video itself. So if you're choosing, hey, I want to learn video editing software so I can make YouTube videos, instead focus first and foremost on your thumbnails. They are more important than the actual content of said video. I'm not saying the content of these videos are not important. I'm saying no one's going to see your video if your thumbnail sucks. So let's keep reading. Okay, you got 2 seconds to pull them in. 2 seconds, chat. Consequently, Netflix uses an elaborate thumbnail selection process for each of its 200 million plus users. The process is called aesthetic visual analysis, or AVA. It sounds very like Orwellian almost. I like that. Ava says, I'll like this video. Excellent. Ava's like,
if you like
is coming out to help us out, chat. Sheesh. The process, excuse me. For reference, a 1-hour episode of Stranger Things has 86K frames. In a process known as frame annotation, each frame is tagged with metadata identifying key variables: saliency, frame number, brightness, contrast, nudity, face, skin tone. So they like dataify each frame for the, for potential thumbnails. The frames are then graded on these variables: visual, brightness, contrast, color, motion blur; contextual, face detection, shot angle; composition, photography principles like rule of thirds, symmetry, depth of field. So this is important. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what a rule of thirds is, let me define it for you better than I could say normally. Rule of thirds, photography, because this is important to understand if you're going to break out into this kind of field. Okay, so the rule of thirds describes a basic compositional structure of a photograph. Taking an image, you can split it into 9 segments using 3x3 lines. The rule indicates you should place key elements of your scene at one or more of these areas in the photo. Key elements of the photo being at the corners, right? At the corners. So you see, like, here's a window. The tower is clearly like on these vertices, like the apex of where you can walk around the towers there. The windows here. We have like a little sunrise kind of coming up around this. We have like nothing really here, but the photo would be way less interesting if it was just this lighthouse in the center. It's interesting because you get the perspective of the vastness of where this lighthouse is because of the rule of thirds. So that's important to use if you're going to be making your own thumbnails. Use the rule of thirds. Okay, that's our next point. Number 6, the next step in image ranking, which chooses the best thumbnails most likely to be clicked. The winning traits include expressive faces, main characters, and brightness. Okay, so you can see the winner of these 6 here. From the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, the winner is this one at the bottom right. It is the brightest. It's interesting. It's got the main character face, got everything. Like this one is just kind of like if I focus on this one here on this bottom left, what is it? Is it a show about a dog? I don't know what's happening. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Okay, so we've got like a very fancy gentleman here. Look at that distinguished gentleman. He's got very vibrant clothes on, but still not exactly sure what's happening in the show. Whatever. This is kind of a funny face, sure, but there's just something that feels weak about it. This one is just the title. It's just the title of the show, whatever. This one is, I like the polka dots. That kind of drives my eyes in a little bit more. But this is like, there's inherent drama even in the frame itself. No wonder it won. No wonder it won. So here's one of the biggest points of this video. What makes a good thumbnail on YouTube? Because you can use the same processes. Netflix has dataified this kind of process and has taken the main points, the main things that are good with Netflix's winning thumbnails, and I'm giving them to you. Okay, expressive faces. That's the like PogChamp faces. That's instead of just a smile, something that's like, this is kind of silly. Expressive, right? Secondly, the main characters. What does that mean? Are you the main character? Of your brand, sure. Of your brand, sure. But for example, when we do Subnautica videos and I go and we just finished our last Subnautica episode, Rest in Power, that was a good time. You'll notice that our main, obviously my editors have done they put the Yu-Gi-Oh hair onto this because it's simulated the main character. In this Arc 2 news, we talk about Vin Diesel because he's in that, right? The main character of this episode wasn't me, it was the Sea Empress. If you played Subnautica, it's this big sea dragon thing. And there's literally a sea dragon in this thumbnail. So don't just put yourself in the thumbnails is what I'm saying. If you're doing some kind of thing about, a top level streamer, maybe include that top level streamer in that thumbnail. And finally, brightness, ladies and gentlemen, brightness. You have to have a bright, vibrant colored thumbnail. Do these 3 things and you will see the CTR, that is the amount of clicks every YouTube video you have is getting, go up, guaranteed from Netflix's own mouth. So that's probably the biggest thing you could take from this video. And we're a little bit into the video now, so appreciate y'all being here. Before we go any further, if you've come this far, make sure you like and sub. And before you go, if you comment, we want to hear from you. If you're new to this video, I want to hear from you because we're growing this community, this, dare I say, this culture here, not just around me, but around you all. So we have some excellent stuff over in Discord, both development of your personal life, whether it be content or whatever your career is. We have a career wellness section or gaming. We do both here at the Loru brand. This channel you're watching it on is the marketing channel. We have a second channel, the gaming channel. We want to see you come by, whatever you would like. okay? Because we're not going to say, sub to both channels, you must. No, no, no. We want you to come to the channel that you want to enjoy. If you're a digital advertising professional or a content creator, aspiring or established, this is the channel for you. So make sure you like the video. If you like, sub, and let's continue forward. Thank you all for being here. Comment if you're a new person. I want to hear from you. I'd love to answer any questions you have. I read all the comments. So let's check this out. Another winning trait is good localization, meaning changing how something looks based on where it's being perceived, where not just platform, but also based on geography, which I believe they're going to go into. Yes, the best thumbnails, the green arrow, for each country show for Sense 8 had attributes more attractive to that specific reason. So this is really cool, actually. And I'm not smart enough in social science to be able to know why this is, but like the top of Brazil one, and my wife's Brazilian, so she might actually like this, is like this like dark silhouette, you know, it's like this outline of, I think it's a woman. I think it's got like the longer hair kind of slicked back. So it's very striking, you know. Top in Germany is this like play on the letter 8 or the number 8. It's been a long day. And it's got these like faces in there. It's like the silhouettes of the people, but it's like it's kind of edgy and dark, interesting. The US is a boxer. I haven't watched the Sense8 shirt, but it's got like, I'm intrigued. Like, okay, does it have like an Asian influence in the show? Because we got this like Asian style building in the background. Top for US, sure. Top in UK is like very stark gun, very like gangster-esque kind of photo. Fills the entire frame. I love where the logo is right above it. You like focus on the gun and then on his face, you know? So really interesting stuff. So what you could take away from this next point is you have to test your thumbnails, and we're gonna get into this. If you put out one video, ideally speaking, let me back up. When you have a series of videos about one thing, that's number one. You have to have a series of videos about like a set of tools or a game, etc. that you're doing. Test various thumbnail styles. Put out like 2 or 3 videos with thumbnail type A. Say it's like they're all, this is very simple, but say they're all green, whatever. Say they're all green color. Most of the primary colors of said thumbnail in this example are green. Test like 3 videos like that. And if your CTR is like 5%, which is just okay, go to the next 3 in the same series, mind you. That way it's contextual and comparable, apples to apples. Make the primary colors blue and then see which ones perform better. And if you can do these kind of A/B tests, you can test and see where your audience is going to click more, because just putting something out and saying, oh, shucks, my video didn't get clicked. This is a defeatist attitude. Instead, say, what can I change to try to get the clicks, to try to be there for the people that want to come check out my content. So interesting stuff. Thumbnails with villainous characters outperform. Netflix says these bad guy thumbnails, green arrows for Dragons Race to the Edge, are the most clicked. So that actually is something that I didn't understand, and kind of intrigues me, that if you're making thumbnails, put your villain in the thumbnail. And again, we're going to go back to, you saw the past thumbnails on my YouTube channel where the sea dragon is in the thumbnail, the ghost leviathan is in the thumbnail, right? Because there's like an inherent adversity. Or what I'll say based on this, because something that I do at my day job is I ask, what is the data telling me? What I think the data is telling me is this is known, right? Here's a villain, sure, but the primary character in this is like Toothless and the man, right? Now, the interesting thing about that is we've seen Toothless. We've like seen the man, you know, we've seen this character. So just because it has a new, and we've seen Viking ships, sure, whatever. That's not like, it looks like almost, if I'm glancing at it, like the same movie. And remember, we have about just shy of 2 seconds to capture someone's like audience. So if I see dragons, like How to Train Your Dragon Race to the Edge, and it's like, okay, hey, I recognize this art style, but that's new. It's interesting. It's something exciting. I'm going to go check that out. So that's really cool. So include the villains in your thumbnails. Okay. Number 9, one last finding. Netflix discovered that thumbnails with more than 3 people vastly underperformed. Netflix applied this knowledge to the rollout of Orange is the New Black Season 2. Only had 1 character in the thumbnail versus an ensemble for Season 1. And chat, this is actually true. And I don't know why this one's blurry. This is actually true for a lot of marketing. There's a age-old marketing study that was done, God, like a decade ago. I read about it like that long ago. And a watch company, I think it was Rolex or something, some famous watch company. Say that 5 times fast. Famous watch company. Famous. So Rolex, let's call it that, took out an ad in a magazine, and they had 2 ads in one magazine. Ad A had a bunch of different watches, a bunch of different colors, and was like, get your favorite Rolex. and ad B was one watch, one color in a prominent position showing how nice it looked. Which one do you think did better in terms of sales? The one with one watch. And when you say that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, wouldn't you want more choice? Wouldn't you want more, wouldn't you want more diversity? Wouldn't you want more options, right? Well, when you look at something like this, the thing about this is, remember, you're not comparing this thumbnail to only this thumbnail, to like A to B. You're comparing season 1 thumbnail to every other show coming out in season 1. So if I look at this and I don't really understand what's going on here, Orange is the New Black shirt, it's like a prison show, whatever, there's nothing like that's catching me versus this like very stark, like pretty girl staring at me, going with like some toilet paper in her hands for like a fist. Ooh, that's interesting. I never watched the show, but that's interesting. That caught my eye comparatively. Even when they're talking about this, I was like, yeah, this is clearly the better thumbnail, because there's something that attracts me inherently comparatively to this other thumbnail. So what I'm saying is, if you are having a thumbnail, make it less busy. Don't have it be so many things going on. Again, I've already showed it many times, but in our YouTube, you'll see me and character, or just character text. It's simple, but not too simple. Simple enough that the clear message of why you want them to click is conveyed, but also still putting your unique spin on things. So I think that was a really good point that a lot of people miss on many of their thumbnails. Okay, so one reason Netflix started creating its own thumbnails is that the artwork provided by studios weren't optimized for the streaming app. Obviously, billboards and DVDs make sense. At the most basic level, Netflix applies ML to select a thumbnail for you based on recent watch history. Take Good Will Hunting for example. The rom-com watchers get the top on a date thumbnail. Comedy fans get the bottom thumbnail. Robin Williams. So what can you do with this if you're a content creator? Well, if your niche is like high octane PvP, and if you want to be like, if you're making Warzone videos and it's nothing but like, I'm incredible, I'm a like pro player, you're going to see a lot of like the Tim the Tap Man or like the Z-Laner or the Dr. Disrespect style thumbnails where they're very like, they're muddy and they're like in the thick of it and they're screaming and there's bullets flying and it's very like exciting, action packed. But if you're doing like Warzone content and you're very analytical, if you're analyzing things, if you're maybe breaking down, take this idea for free. If you're a Warzone content creator, I'm not, so take it and make the content, okay? Make it. If you're trying to do some kind of like analytical Warzone style videos and you're breaking down different builds and the accuracy of thus and like the math behind it, let's say, maybe you don't want to have so much high octane stuff in the thumbnail. Maybe you want it to be more analytical. It's about approaching your audience from the first interaction, because a thumbnail is a first impression, right? So you have to make sure that your supposed audience, people you want to meet, are going to click. And you do that by testing, trying out different kinds of imagery, and keep on going. So, and keep on being consistent with it, right? Here are different Netflix thumbnail selections for Pulp Fiction. Uma Thurman fans get the top thumbnail. John Travolta fans get the bottom thumbnail. So if you recognize certain faces, you're going to see in a lot of and I'll go back to one of my like marketing video thumbnails here, right? You're going to see that we have a lot of top creators in the thumbnail if the video is about those top creators. And like Ludwig left Twitch, we did a whole video on it. Pogi had a new agency, we did a whole video on it. Harris had a take on some kind of like a viewership thing, I think. So we put him in there. And Tim and Nick were talking about some stuff. So Team Loru, thanks, editors, appreciate it. Put that in the freaking thumbnail. We got it done. Streamlabs in here. The point is they're recognizable faces, and the people in the space are going to be able to click, because even if they don't know you, they do know them, right? So if you're a smaller creator, if you're up and coming, put other people that aren't you in the thumbnail that your audience recognizes, okay? That's the important part to take away from this, okay? Unsurprisingly, Netflix also A/B tests its thumbnails. I don't really have to go any other than say this: A/B test your thumbnails, Chan. Again, we talked about this. If you make a series, A/B test your thumbnails in like not just one video. I would say some kind of data set of like 3 videos. So if you make a certain style, A/B test it over a course of a couple of videos to see what works, okay? As with any ML algorithm, machine learning algorithm, okay, that's what ML means, I think. Results can be curious. In 2018, Netflix was accused of creating artwork based on race. For a majority of Caucasian films like Father, one black user was served the right image. Netflix said it makes artwork only on viewing history, not demographic. So that's interesting. And I think what the takeaway from that is, like, at any kind of data set There's going to be perceived behavioral intent. But I would chalk this up to simply, I recognize these people, but I don't recognize these people because my family, obviously, very pale, this boy. Okay, so like father. Okay, so it's about like a family. And then over here, if I'm Netflix trying to put out a machine learning thumbnail and I'm targeting somebody that is Caucasian, that is white, then I'm going to try to make it appealing to them by a family story that looks like their family. Makes sense to me. I don't think that's racist. I think that's just, it is what it is, right? That's demographically speaking correct. But they say, hey, it's just the algorithm. Who knows? Maybe they did handpick it. Who knows, right? So, oh, this is interesting. She was in Queen's Gambit, but she's on like a Peaky Blinders thing. Was she in? Oh yeah. So a less harmless example of thumbnail optimization is showcasing trending actors, actresses for content they played in a smaller role. Okay, so obviously we know her, Queen's Gambit. Chat. If you haven't seen it, stop what you're doing, stop watching stream literally right now and go watch Queen's Gambit, one of the most incredible pieces of television I've ever seen. Amazing show. So she apparently, the actress, her name escapes me. Please forgive me if I ever meet you. I'll shake your hand and say thank you very much. So she was incredible inside of Queen's Gambit, and it looks like she was in maybe 1 or 2 episodes, who knows, of Peaky Blinders or other shows. So what's interesting is that is curious, right? Because you go, oh, I recognize, oh, she's in this. You know, I might have never watched Peaky Blinders. I watched a season, I think. So now that I know she's in it, what episodes is she in? It makes me go check out the show. Maybe I'll watch the episode just to see what happens. That kind of make me interested in a second. That's the kind of thing you want people to feel when they see your thumbnail and then they click. Okay, so very interesting stuff. Back to the Squid Game, of course. We had to come back to Squid Game. We had to. Just came out, Mr. Beast video, the whole thing. Of course, we're going to talk about Squid Game. Okay, back to the Squid Game thumbnails from the first tweet. They don't really follow any of the artwork rules. Interesting. Then again, those are only 3 that I saw out of thousands of other options. The Squid Game is about to be Netflix's most popular original series ever, so something is working. When you have data outliers, you don't necessarily want to include it in your data set, right? So if you do a bunch of videos that are red and you do a video for a different game that's red and that one outperforms everything, does that mean you should keep having red thumbnails? Not necessarily. You know what I'm saying? It's when you're analyzing stuff from a very data-driven perspective, it's easy to say, well, clearly, like we need to put her on every thumbnail because everybody's clicking her. Like, that's not exactly behaviorally how I would say it. Behaviorally, coming back to this thumbnail, I would say, oh, I didn't know she was in this, says average user, click, right? Squid Game, if I'm being blunt, I think the reason that stuff's getting so clicked is because people are telling me in my office, in my family, in my friend group, have you watched Squid Game? So I'm going to come in here and just click the first one I see. So I feel like the data is skewed there based on the social hype of said game. And that's just my thinking there. The point is, sometimes you're going to get some weird data. Hey, if it works, right? If you enjoyed that, and then he just breaks down like kind of the stuff that he's doing. So, and he's got a blog. The link will be in the description if y'all want to go check that out. So I thought that was a really interesting kind of showcase. So just to sum up, the winning thumbnail formula is rule of thirds to make sure you have good composition in your thumbnail. A/B test and do some kind of localization based on content, based on your demographics. That way you can continue to maximize the chance that your audience, the audience you want to be a part of, is going to be who watches your videos. Include villains in your thumbnail because that seems to be like a trending oh, that's interesting, a new click, right? Expressive faces, main characters, brightness, okay? And you don't have to necessarily be the main character in your videos. You can use other creators that are in the space. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, press like, and if you haven't subbed already, press sub. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for coming by, and if you have any questions, hit me up in the comment section. I read everything. We'll see you in the next one.